I was a young man in Baghdad, having inherited a great fortune from my father. Life was easy, filled with luxury and friends. But soon I grew restless. The stories of sailors in far-off lands whispered in the bustling markets filled my head with dreams of adventure. I longed to see the world, to trade, to discover wonders beyond the familiar streets of my city. So I used a portion of my inheritance to buy goods, gathered a crew of brave merchants, and we set sail from the port of Basra upon a sturdy ship, our hearts full of hope and the spirit of exploration. The sea beckoned, and I answered its call. For many days and nights, we sailed across the vast blue expanse of the Persian Gulf, guided by the sun and stars. The journey was prosperous. We journeyed from island to island, port to port, trading our fine goods from Baghdad for exotic spices, precious woods, and rare gems. We met people of different cultures, saw incredible sights, and our wealth grew with each successful exchange. The wind was in our sails, and fortune seemed to smile upon us. The world was a tapestry of wonders, and I was eager to see every thread. One day, as we sailed through calm waters, our lookout spotted what appeared to be a beautiful, small island. It was covered in lush green grass and dotted with vibrant flowers. It looked like a paradise, a perfect place to rest, replenish our water, and stretch our legs after so long at sea. We dropped anchor and rowed ashore, overjoyed by this unexpected haven. Some of the crew began lighting fires to cook, others washed their clothes in the freshwater streams, and I wandered off, simply marveling at the tranquility of the place. It was idyllic, a moment of perfect peace. Suddenly, as the fires grew hotter, the ground beneath our feet began to tremble. A violent shudder ran through the entire island. Panic erupted. The captain, his face pale with terror, screamed from the ship's deck, "Get back to the ship! This is no island! It's a colossal whale, a beast as old as the sea itself, that has been sleeping for so long that trees have grown upon its back. Our fires have woken it." The realization hit us like a physical blow. The paradise we had landed on was, in fact, a living, breathing monster. The colossal whale began to dive, plunging back into the deep ocean to extinguish the flames that tormented its back. The island buckled and sank, throwing us all into the churning, cold sea. I saw my shipmates scrambling for their lives. The captain, quick-witted as ever, had already ordered the sails raised, desperate to escape the vortex created by the diving beast. I swam with all my might, but the ship was already pulling away, leaving many of us behind, swallowed by the waves. I watched in horror as my only link to home disappeared over the horizon. I was alone, tossed about by the merciless waves, convinced my end had come. Just as my strength was failing, my hand brushed against something solid. It was a large wooden trough, a washing tub that must have been washed overboard from our camp on the whale's back. Clinging to it for dear life, I drifted aimlessly, at the mercy of the wind and the currents. Days and nights blurred into a terrifying ordeal of hunger, thirst, and despair. I prayed for deliverance, my hope dwindling with each passing hour, lost in the immense, unforgiving ocean. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, a powerful wave cast me onto the shore of a real island. I collapsed on the sand, exhausted but alive. This island was truly magnificent, with tall trees, sweet fruits, and crystal-clear rivers. I ate and drank, slowly regaining my strength. As I explored, I discovered a cave where I found evidence of someone else. Following the tracks, I came across a man, one of the king's grooms, who was tending to the royal horses. He was astonished to see me and hear my incredible story. He took me to meet his companions, and together they brought me before their ruler, the great King Mirjan. The king listened to my tale of the Whale Island with fascination and disbelief. He treated me with great kindness, appointing me as the master of his port and the controller of the shipping. My job was to inspect every ship that arrived, logging its cargo. It was a respectable position and I was grateful, but my heart still yearned for Baghdad, for my home. I never lost hope that one day a ship from Basra would arrive. I performed my duties diligently, speaking to every captain, asking about their journeys and their home ports. I told my story to anyone who would listen, but most thought I was imagining things. Then, one fateful day, a familiar-looking ship sailed into the harbor. As I went aboard to inspect its cargo, my heart leaped. It was my own ship. The captain, however, did not recognize me. When I began to identify my own bales of merchandise, he was skeptical. He told me, "We believe the owner of these goods, a merchant named Sindbad, drowned when the great whale island sank." "I am that Sindbad," I declared. I recounted details of our voyage that only I could know. To prove my identity, some of the merchants on board who had sailed with me finally recognized me and vouched for my story. The captain was overjoyed. He returned all my goods to me, which had been carefully preserved. My wealth was restored, and more than that, my path home was now clear. I presented the finest of my newfound treasures to the kind King Nirjan, who was amazed at this final, unbelievable chapter of my story. With a heart full of gratitude, I bid farewell to King Mirjan and the island that had been my refuge. I set sail on my own ship, once again a wealthy merchant, but now with a story that would echo through the ages. The journey back to Basra and then to Baghdad was smooth. I returned to my home a changed man, no longer just a rich youth, but a seasoned adventurer who had looked into the jaws of death and survived. And though I was happy to be home, a part of me knew this was only the beginning. The sea had tested me, and I knew deep down that one day it would call to me again. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales of adventure.